Hey friends, what's happening? This is Dr. Heather coming to you live from Ask Dr. Heather. And today we are talking about what is happening inside your gut biome when you are fasting or when you're taking a break from eating. So if you're joining me live or on a replay, let me know where you're joining me from, what city, what state, what country, what continent. I know I have people watching all around the globe. So welcome. And the reason we're talking about constipation, because oftentimes people think, well, if I'm not eating, then things should just be moving on out. Well, it can actually be happening just conversely. So if we think about what most people are eating, most people are actually eating carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are actually processed food. Processed means they've actually been broken down once before and then put back together. Think of a piece of bread. It's bleached and rich. That means they actually bleach it all out. Wheat actually grows like a big tassel. I'm a farm girl here from Kansas, where we grow a lot of wheat here in the Midwest. But enriched means they strip everything down and then they re-add the stuff back in. So it's already been broken down for you, and then they add the stuff back in. So when you eat it, it actually goes through your body pretty quickly. Most carbohydrates, even things like fruits, actually only last about 30 minutes in your gut and then flush back out. So if you're fasting and you take away carbohydrates, and just a stat here, the average person eats 17 times a day. Hey Susan, let me know where you're joining from. So if you're eating 17 times a day, think about that. You wake up, you have a bite of nuts, or you have an apple. Another hour later, maybe you have maybe you have some scrambled eggs. Maybe another hour later, you have some celery and nut butter. I'm even having you eat clean. Maybe then you have a granola bar. Maybe you have your lunch, and then maybe you have a snack in the afternoon. Maybe it's a piece of candy or some gum or a sweet tea or something. Then maybe you have an iced coffee with some stuff in it. So as you eat, anything that has some calories to it, it actually makes your blood sugar go up and down and up and down. Well, you're actually continuing to have your nervous system and your gut work through peristalsis and digest. Well, when you're fasting, which is an amazing thing, you're giving your digestive system a time to rest. Kind of like your feet. Like if you have a sprained ankle, you don't want to walk 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You want to have a time to allow it to rest. The same thing's true for your gut. So if you're overfeeding your gut, and even eating 6 mini meals a day is actually overfeeding your gut. So if you're eating 6 to 17 times a day, you're overstimulating your nervous system, you're overstimulating your gut, you're telling your gut to work way too hard. And oftentimes in those meals, you're eating maybe some food sensitivities, things with toxins in it, pesticides. I don't even know what sometimes is in our foods. You're asking your body to do a lot of work in there. So it's overstimulating, and that's going to cause you to have more bowel movements, is what I'm getting to. So when you fast and give your body a break from eating 6 to 17 times a day and processed foods that are already broken down for you, your gut's like, now it's time to rest. Well, it makes sense that your bowels are actually going to move slower. And what's odd is when I went to school 25 years ago, 25 plus some years ago, I guess our sun is changing here. We were told that you're supposed to have 1 to 2 bowel movements a day. Now, I just looked this up. When they define constipation, it's having less than 3 bowel movements a week. Okay, we're supposed to eliminate 1 to 2 times a day. And now, because we have so much stuff going on with our gut, and gut biome is such a mess, whether it's GERD, SIBO, irritable bowel, now they're actually defining that, as I'm reading it over here, having less than 3 bowel movements a week is technically defined as constipation. Well, our bodies are 98-degree ovens. If things are not moving out, they're actually going to be fermenting inside our gut, which is not a good idea. However, when you're fasting and your body's used to having 6 to 18 mini meals a day, it's used to digesting, and now it's got to sit there and relax. You've got to give your body some hours to just really figure out what's happening. And the best way to do that is really take an Epsom salt bath. The major function of our rectum and large intestine is to reabsorb water and get ready for evacuation. So we know that you've got stuff sitting inside your gut and your bowels. So just, again, water's a great way to wash that through. So keep drinking some water. I love water with a pinch of sea salt, a pinch of Epsom salt in there. And yes, Beth, I'm a super fan of drinking the Nat. And so her question, I will get to that. What if a Nat late in the day? So we'll get to that in just a second. So if you're a person who's experiencing constipation during a fast, whether you're doing a bone broth fast, a fat fast, or just you're doing the reboot. So if you are doing the reboot, give me a good idea. Just put a fist bump down below, a big high 10 or something like that. Let me know if you're participating in our 60-hour keto reboot that we do at least one time a month. But again, if you're used to eating many times a day and now you're not eating, maybe you haven't eaten since yesterday, it makes sense that your body's kind of going, what what's happening now? Or it can do just the opposite. It's used to having so many stuff going through that it actually just continues to process and process and process. Now there's no fiber, no bulk to it. So now you're going to get probably some brown sludgy stuff that's coming out through the interstitial layers of the area around the bowel. That's a great thing. It's cleaning all that stuff out. When I used to teach, or I still teach fasting, when I teach fasting, and that's the fastest way for me to help people stop the carbohydrate craving. Sorry, I'm getting all these messages coming through and I've got my computer over here dinging at me. I should have silenced it. So what do we do to help the constipation? Let's stay focused, Dr. Heather, focused. What do we do to help the constipation that's happening during your fasting time? So I used to suggest some fermented grains, but now we have the amazing option to have some bone broth. Bone broth is God's Gatorade. It's got collagen in there. We know that it has some slight amount of protein in there. It also has, now we use an infused one from Prove It that has some beta hydroxybutyrate, which also helps, gives your body energy, keeps the peristalsis of your bowels moving, so you still get some movement in there. Also has some amazing different nutrients in there, so you're getting the trace element of nutrients in there, so your bowels are going to keep moving. Oh, I love seeing the fist bumps in there, so lots of people doing the reboot with us. So as you're doing the reboot, it will be a normal thing for your bowels to slow down, especially if you're a person who's eating the old way, the way we were taught in the 1970s and 80s, which is a lot of mini meals a day. But give your body time, but you do want to get that stuff fleshed out. So again, give it time. You just started yesterday. Drink water. You can actually add some herbal tea in there. So we used to have some keto calm tea. You can use some smooth move tea. If you know that you've got a tummy full of stuff that needs to get out, then get it out. I'm a big component of taking magnesium. I check magnesium on all my patients. Optimal levels should be 2.2 to 2.6. So that would be another thing that you could also do. But number one, water. Drink at least half your body's weight in water. But don't count your water in your ketones. Don't count your water in your bone broth. Don't count your water. Some people are doing coffee enemas. We don't recommend that on the keto reboot because you shouldn't have to do that. But if you're doing a plain fast, a lot of people do recommend a coffee enema. Just don't count the water in that coffee enema if you're doing that. Again, I'm not suggesting that as part of the reboot program. Just want to make sure that people know that, because I am actually a community coach for Prove It and a reboot coach, but that is not part of their program. But that has been something that a lot of people choose to do on their own because their practitioner has suggested that they do that. So just know that what we do with the reboot, people say, well, why are you drinking ketones? Why don't you wait for your body to produce them through ketogenesis? And I used to teach this a long time ago. Well, now you don't have to wait for your energy to dip down to go through all the toxic glucose and glycogen, because your body stores glucose. It's been there for a long time. It's very toxic for your body. That's why people don't feel good. People are like, man, I felt okay the first bit, and then I started to feel really bad. That's because your body's detoxing sugar, glucose, glycogen, that's been there for a long time. You got to get that stuff out. How do you get it out? You exercise it out. You sweat it out. You get in an infrared sauna. You get your bowels moving. But again, if your bowels aren't moving, then you sweat it out. Infrared sauna is a great way to do that. Getting some burst exercise is also a great way to do that. So Corinne is saying Ruby Rush this afternoon. So Corinne's right. She's doing a ketone that has a higher level of B6, B12, and a higher level of ketones and a higher level of caffeine in that. So orally starting caffeine from the top to the bottom will help stimulate that. It will get your thyroid going a little bit more, get your adrenal glands going a little bit more, plus the other nutrients in there will also help that out. So that will help also get your bowels moving, especially if you eat a lot of stimulants prior to this. That will also help get your bowels moving, but we definitely want to make sure that they are moving. So water, 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 pinch of sea salt. Another thing I like to do is take just a nice warm bottle of, before bedtime, 8 to 10 ounces. I know that's more than 8 to 10 ounces of warm water. This is for anybody, not even on the reboot, and a tablespoon, maybe just 2 teaspoons of Epsom salt in warm water, and just drink that slowly before bedtime. It's kind of like an enema, except for you're doing it orally instead of rectally, but it starts digestion from the inside out and get things moving. But again, you don't want your bowels not to be moving the first day, but it is normal during fasting because you're not adding all those quick carbohydrates, those quick stimulants. It's very normal. Just be patient with your body. Make sure you're drinking a lot of water. People sometimes during the reboot will just do all the amazing products. They'll do the ketones and then the broth and the ketones and the broth, and they forget the water in between. Water is vitally important because water, we can only go 3 days without water. So make sure that water is a priority during any type of fasting that you're doing, whether it is, unless it's a dry fast, but a water only fast, a fat fast, the reboot, make sure you're drinking drinking tons of water. This is why I love the reboot. When it came out a few years ago, prior to the reboot, I was doing fermented greens and I was doing bone broth. Then when the ketones came out, I was doing ketones and teaching people how to make bone broth. And now it's so much easier. Now you just have a packet to go and you can have that bone broth whenever you want it. So I'm super excited to have that. But I do want you to be patient with your bowels. And I do want to go ahead and answer the question, because some people are like, I'm always hungry. How come I'm hungry, but Sally, my sister, is never hungry? We have two hormones called leptin and ghrelin. One of them actually increases appetite and one of them actually decreases appetite. So leptin is actually made by our fat cells. It actually decreases appetite. You know, some people are like, oh, I haven't been hungry at all. What's that? How come you're not? And then we know that ghrelin, some people say ghrelin, it's pronounced different ways, actually increases appetite. We know in people who are obese, so the higher the fat percentage that you have, the more BMI that you have, the more stored fat, and the longer that you've been obese. So you didn't just gain 20 pounds over the pandemic, but maybe you've had an extra 100 pounds on for a long time. The people who are morbidly obese or have a longer obesity, they actually have a higher level of leptin. Remember, leptin suppresses appetite, and they have a lower level of ghrelin. Ghrelin is really a rapidly moving hormone that suppresses appetite. Obesity people increase leptin, which decreases appetite. So they have nothing. That shut off button is never shut off. So they're always hungry. So if you ever watch that 600-pound life show, they're never full. It's because their leptin and ghrelin, they're not talking to each other. And the switch is always flipped on. So in leptin, that leptin is always on. They're always hungry, always hungry, always hungry. They're never full. When people start drinking ketones, or when you're in ketosis, ketones now start getting leptin and ghrelin to talk to each other. They're like, okay, it's your turn to turn off. I'm actually full now. But when you eat in a normal person, it takes 20 minutes for your stomach to tell your brain that you're full. But if you're always overeating and then you become leptin resistant, then you never get that feeling of fullness. This also happens in people who have Prader-Willi disease. They don't have that shut off. Now, there's different types of Prader-Willi. So not all of Prader-Willi syndrome people have that, but some people do. But just know that I don't want you comparing yourself to other people. Some people are like, well, I don't know why it was so easy for her. She's never hungry. But know that if you are hungry, if you know that you have had extra weight on for a long time, it is very normal for you to experience hunger more severely than somebody else. But hunger will go away. That's why it's so important to drink the ketones, because they are going to switch off that appetite so you won't feel hungry forever. And also know that exercising and getting moving around will also help you feel hungry. So get up, moving around, get your body sweating. I'd also encourage you, don't put a whole bunch of lotions on your body, because if you're putting lotions and leather and fat on your body and you want your body to sweat things out, to detoxify out, you want your body to get that out. So if your bowels aren't moving, your skin is your largest organ, get your skins moving. That's why I'm such a big advocate of an infrared sauna. Get your body moving. Some people do a salt float tank. I think sweat, get your sweat glands going. Jumping on a mini tramp also gets your lymphatic system moving. It immobilizes fat. It gets your lymphatic system going from your head to your toes, from your toes back to your nose, and gets all that stuff just going and going and going. So get stuff moving around. So I do want to take a few time to answer some questions. So Deborah says, how do you increase ghrelin hormone? So you increase it by being ketosis longer. You increase it by fasting, because when you fast, for women, if you fast 24 hours, you increase our growth hormone by 1,300%, men by 2,000%. So if you do a 24-hour fast once a week, but check with your healthcare provider first, that will continue to reset. So when you think about the name reboot, reboot's certainly clever. It's like when you shut off your computer, or you want to reboot something else in your life, like you want to reboot, my computer over here is talking to me as the questions come in, you want to reboot your phone. Or we went to the cabin over the 4th of July, unplugged several things in my house. I wanted to kind of reboot the electrical system in our house, or lightning actually reboots a lot of things when lightning strikes your house. You want to reboot that ghrelin. So what happens? Lower your BMI, start to stretch that period throughout the day, or maybe just set your day when you're done with your reboot and say, I'm going to do an intermittent fasting every single day of my life and eat in an 8-hour time frame. That 8-hour time frame needs to shift though, not 10 to 6 every single day. Maybe it's 9 to 5 one day, maybe it's 12 to 6 or 7 one day. Recognize when you're hungry, and that will actually start to help. And also reducing estrogenic foods will help as well. So ditch the soy, ditch the dairy, ditch some of those estrogenic inflammatory foods will also help increase your ghrelin. It's Ghrelin, and then leptin's Leptin. Somebody asked how we talked about that. And a lot of these reboot questions, you guys can go over to Drink the Ketone Daily page and they're going to answer those questions. But I did want to talk about appetite and suppressant and some people, why they're hungry, why they're not, and why the constipation happens. And some people conversely actually have diarrhea because their body is so used to being fed, 10 to 17 times a day and moving. Well, now there's nothing to move. So it just keeps on moving. It's like an assembly line with nothing on it. It just keeps on dumping things out. So know that that will be normal as well. Just make sure you're taking the Mitoplex, which is the electrolyte, especially if you're having increased bowel movements. You want to replace those electrolytes in there and continue to drink water. And then make sure that with the ketones, you want to drink maybe just a little bit slower. And then when you reintroduce foods on Wednesday, and I'm going to share a little surprise, I've committed to do a 30-day live on this page about starting with keto. How do you start? How do you fix your kitchen? So tomorrow we're going to start talking about what things to have in the kitchen as you get ready to live kind of a low carb keto lifestyle and more of a clean lifestyle. And kind of get a mom of four with my mom living with me also. So mom of four plus grandma with our house. So what's easy to go, we're going to share that. I'm not going to keep you super long here today, but did want to answer some questions. So Deborah, just give your body time. When you have that feeling of fullness all the time, that means you probably have some type of inflammation around the gut. So that would be a time where you really want to, after the reboot or fast. So Deborah, I don't know if you fasted or not, but that would be a time where you want to give your body time to rest, because if you're eating 12 hours a day, say you eat at 7 a.m. in the morning and you eat dinner at 8 p.m. at night, it takes 4 hours to digest your last meal. That means your food's not getting digested till midnight. Then you're eating breakfast again like at 7 a.m. You're not getting any rest in your gut, and you may not be moving around enough. That's also a thing. So I tell people, when you get out of your chair, do like 5 squats every time you get out of your chair. If you're sitting in your chair, just get here and get your body moving. You've got to get that lymphatic system moving. And mini tramp is a great way. Just jumping up and down will also help. So she says, yes, I'm fasting till 6 p.m. So I don't know when you're eating. If you're fasting till 6, what's your normal day that you're eating? So I would make sure that your last meal is 4 hours before bedtime. So if you're going to go to bed at 10 or 11, last meal should be at 5 or 6, maybe 7 at the latest. I know what my math is doing. And then again, eat when you're hungry. So sometimes people watch the clock and watch the scale instead of listening to their body. So what I do for myself, so I'll answer that question. I do an OMED, which is 1 meal a day, on Thursday to Friday. So in the morning on Thursday, I get up, I have my water, I have my coffee with my fat coffee in it, which I use keto cream. Then I have my ketones and I have a big lunch, whether it's a big Cobb salad or a big omelet or a big Greek lunch or something like that. Greek salad, sorry, not Greek lunch. And then I don't eat any dinner. I have some ketones or some tea or something, lots of water. Thursday evening, then Friday morning, I have water and just some black coffee or ketones. And then Friday afternoon, I have my next meal. So I go brunch to brunch, Thursday to Friday, or lunch to lunch, however you want to say it, Thursday to Friday. And then every day I do anywhere from a 6 to 8 hour intermittent fasting. And then one time a month, I do an extended fasting like we're doing right now. So that's worked best for my body. I think many of you know I was wheelchair bound for 5 years. I'm now in the process of getting a new prosthetic leg. And if you know anything about prosthesis, I'm an above knee amputee. You can't even gain 2 pounds or that leg does not fit. So I used to be an avid runner in triathlon where I would run, 50 to 70 miles a week. I knew how to eat so I could have my pie, or eat so I could have my sweet potatoes, or eat so I could have my popcorn. And now that is not a no-go. So now it's about stabilizing it, still feeling fulfilled, not feeling like I'm not having what I want. And so I am leading hopefully from a place where you all can appreciate that I know how important it is to stabilize your baseline weight. And I weigh exactly the same as I did as when I fell in 2014. I definitely had more lean muscle mass, but that's why I stay in ketosis, to keep myostatin quiet so it does not tap into my lean muscle mass. So Deborah, I'm excited that you're getting that reboot order. If you need a reference code, I'm happy to share that reference code with you. And so again, on some of these broth questions, we can help you answer those. But I really want to talk about, fasting, why we're doing it, to give your body a break. I do it to help give my body a break. I had all my 4 kids natural. I know people are still hanging on, but I had several surgeries before the time that I fell in 2014. I had 3 spinal surgeries. I had 2 surgeries on my ankle. I've had an amputation surgery and a revision surgery. So I had a lot of surgeries in a short period of time, which I'd never had any type of anesthesia at all or any type of drugs. So that's another reason to reboot. I'm not out sweating. I'm not out running 20 miles anymore, or even 5 miles anymore. I can go pretty far in my wheelchair, but I'm not sweating sweating like I used to. So it's another reason I want my body to detoxify. I do use a mini tramp. I do get in the warm pool. I do hot yoga to help sweat, but I'm not getting that normal gait pattern. So rebooting is the best way. I suggest it for everybody. So it's not only exercise, but also detoxifying. And during the reboot, I try not to wear any makeup. I do have a little bit of mascara on, but again, I don't put any lotion all over my body any day, except my body to detoxify. I want my pores to open up. I don't want to clog up my pores. So there's no lotion ever anywhere on my body. I do use some skin moisturizer at night. So I just want to be true and honest with that, because you don't want to stop that. We know skin cancer is a very high cancerous diagnosis these days. And some of the things that we're putting on our face, ladies and men, can actually clog up the pores, can trap the pores, can actually lead to some type of skin cancer. So that's another reason to keep your body and face nice and clean. So anyway, I hope I've answered some questions today. I'm going to end with Beth's question. Beth says, and again, a lot of these reboot questions, because not everybody on here is doing the reboot. If you want to know more about the reboot, just message me reboot and I will get more info to you. Beth says, why if I drink nat late in the day, I get severe leg cramps while asleep? Beth, I think maybe you're not hydrated, maybe you're low in magnesium or potassium. So that would be the number 1 or 2 reasons. We know the first stage of sleep, as your body starts to go to sleep, that's when we get those little leg twitches and leg movements. That's all normal in the first stage of sleep. Go to any sleep chart and look. That's normal for stage 1 of sleep. But if it's happening hours into sleep, then that's a nutrient deficiency. We know ketones do amazing things, especially exogenous ketones. They pull toxins out of our body. So if it's happening with that second serving, it may be that you need to do just half a serving, or the broth has less ketones in it. The Keto Pro has less ketones than the nat. So maybe just a little bit less of the ketones, maybe switch it out for an extra broth, or maybe just do a half a serving of the nat and see how your body does, or maybe just without and see how your body does. As long as you're not feeling, we use the ketones to keep your energy level up, to keep your body facilitating, but you may be already in natural ketosis. So thanks for letting me know where you're joining from. This is always meant to be shared, because I always want to lead with education to help answer questions. Tomorrow, we're going to talk a little bit more. I do have a topic about dairy, because a lot of people are asking me why I am always talking about dairy and girl cows. So I already have my dairy and girl cow here. We are going to talk about testosterone. We're also going to talk about getting your kitchen ready to have a clean, low carb / paleo / low carb keto, whatever lifestyle you choose. We're going to start talking about that. I'm going to promise a 30-day cycle series live, very, very short and sweet, not long like this, about how we're going to get moving. But today I had a lot of questions about gut health and constipation, and the constipation is normal that first day of the reboot because you're not putting stuff in your body. So get up and get moving. That also gets the colon moving, get jumping, get your lymphatic system moving. You can also do a colon massage. Acupuncture gets your colon moving. Chiropractic adjustments get your body moving. All those simple things get your colon moving. Drink water, flush it out, nice Epsom salt bath, go for a swim if you have a pool, go for a run, go for a bike ride, anything that gets your colon moving. Get a nice foot massage, lots of reflex points, lots of gate entry points for acupuncture on your feet as well. So have an amazing day. Again, if you're rebooting, put reboot down below. I want to celebrate you. Make sure a high five to you if you are fasting, a big fist bump if you're fasting, because you are doing an amazing gift for your body. And know that it's okay if things aren't normal in the bathroom. It is absolutely okay. But if you're not doing the reboot and your colon is not moving every day, it is not okay. We want to make sure your bowels are moving each and every day. 79% of us are dehydrated. The major function of the large intestine is to reabsorb water and get things moving. It happens, number 1, not enough water. Number 2, not enough veggies. Number 3, not enough electrolytes. Number 4, stress and tension. We can get tension headaches. We can get tension colons, which actually strangle the colons and does not allow you to evacuate. It is true, true, true. And then number 6, not enough movement. So all those things can help get your colon moving, whether you're fasting, whether you're just sitting. Of course, a lot of us are sitting a lot more. People not working at their jobs anymore. They're not driving to work, not driving or walking in the parking lot anymore, walking the stairs at work. They're sitting in a chair. So get up and get moving. Give your body that gift of movement and water. And also being, again, less stress will also keep your colon moving. So enjoy some nice Pilates, enjoy some nice swimming, enjoy some nice yoga. Anything you can do to get your body moving will absolutely help your colon. Have a blessed day. This is Dr. Heather live from Ask Dr. Heather, and I will be seeing y'all soon. I do want to say cheers and congratulations to all you rebooters. I do have some mango tango in here, and somebody asked me my favorite. My favorite is the French onion and The other one, it tastes like ramen noodles. The other one, that's my favorite broth. Somebody asked me, this is my favorite broth. So Mango Tango is my favorite right now, and the Strawberry Peach and the Heart Tart. So have a great day, guys. We'll see you soon. And if you want to know more about the Reboot, message me Reboot, and I'll get you info because it is on sale now for the next 72 hours.